Regardless of strength or prowess, one truth persists for all warriors, that one day, each will meet their end on the battlefield. Even the bravest, most successful heroes will ultimately join the ranks of the dead. Within Norse mythology, however, this death may not be a warrior's final battle. The great god Odin, in preparation for the great battles of Ragnarok, aims to gather an army of the dead to aid him. For this purpose, Odin creates many daughters, the Valkyries, to soar above the battlefield in search of fallen heroes. Those deemed worthy are escorted by the Valkyries to Odin's Hall of the Slain, Valhalla in Asgard. Practically thwarting death, these fallen warriors, heroes, and Germanic kings are given the chance to fight again in the Twilight of the Gods as Odin's soldiers or in Herjar. The Valkyries, or battle-determining women, dance in the sky of battlefields on heavenly horses in search of courageous souls to take to Valhalla. They also serve the Herjar, tending to tables and serving drinks within the enormous hall. Throughout the battles of Ragnarok, the Valkyries serve as Odin's soldiers in slaying the Jotnar with weapons gifted to them. They wield shields forged of divine iron that never crack, break, or waver in the face of tremendous force. These shields of divine iron represent the Valkyries' eternal pride as warriors. In their other hands, the Valkyries grip tight lances of light based upon Odin's Gungnir, declaration of the great god. When thrown with their true names released, these pseudo-Gungnir shall never miss their mark. Between these weapons, white swan garments, and Odin's primordial runes, the Valkyries fight as some of the best in Odin's ranks, loyally following his commands as a machine would. Indeed, the Valkyria forego any form of independence, acting as a collective unit with shared consciousness. Thus, their respective identities, such as Thrud, Hildur, Ortlinda, and many more, are of little importance when compared to their collective duties. They never allow their personal desires to interfere, with one dramatic exception. Brynhildr, the first of the Valkyries, defies Odin's will by supporting the hero Agnar in his conflict with Gunnar. As punishment, Odin strips Brynhildr of her divinity and seals her within a circle of flames, effectively paralyzed by a rune of punishment placed upon her armor. Brynhildr's Valkyrie sisters watch as the valiant hero Sigurd comes to her aid, vanquishing the fire and severing her armor, in turn breaking the rune's curse. They bear witness to a budding romance between the two that ends in horrific tragedy. Essentially, Brynhildr stands as an outlier to the Valkyries, an alternative to their automatous loyalty. While they pretend not to understand her actions or the love that drove them, they continue to ponder the meaning of their sister's downfall. They are terrified of their sister's tragic death, and yet they see beauty in it. Even though they strive to remain focused on their mission, the Valkyries acknowledge they have human hearts with feelings so intense they burn. In proper human history, the Valkyries continue to assist Odin through Ragnarok, fighting their last as the Age of Gods comes to an end in Scandinavia. The land, plagued with natural disasters, is reborn anew, serving as fertile ground for humanity to repopulate by two humans, Liv and Leifthrsir. As prophesized, the Norse gods perish, including the divine Valkyries. Yet, other worlds exist. Other possibilities are able to flourish with a degree of freedom before the universe intervenes. One of the factors considered crucial to human history is that Ragnarok completes in its entirety. Thus, worlds where it does not complete fall victim to pruning through quantum time lock. Said worlds, called lostbelts, will be selected for pruning, wiped from existence. This order is interrupted with the arrival of a mysterious alien god who wishes to inhabit the Earth through a lost belt. As such, the god appeals to various mages, the Cryptors, to rescue and raise their own respective lost belts, maintaining them with trees of emptiness. Because of this, a world with an incomplete Ragnarok is able to thrive, given the potential to override proper human history. During this Ragnarok, the fire giant Surtur eats the god Fenrir, gaining powerful authority. Surtur rages, killing most of the other gods, giants, and Valkyries in an attempt to burn the entire planet. At the last moment, however, Odin is able to seal Surtur in a false sun and entrusts the land to the only surviving god, Skahak Skadi, before perishing. The age of man is stunted by these events. Left stagnant as Skadi uses the majority of her mana to maintain Surtur's seal and hold back the flames encroaching upon Scandinavia. To Skadi's benefit, however, 3 of the Valkyries, Thrud, Hildur, and Ortlinda, survive their broken Ragnarok. As Odin wished, they pledged themselves to Skadi in helping the Lost Belt survive. Even so, a mere 3 Valkyries pale in comparison to their former might. Unfortunately, Skadi lacks the mana to summon any more to her aid. What she can accomplish, however, is mass-producing an army of Valkyries using the 3 survivors as a foundation. The resulting Valkyries are commanded by Thrud, Hildur, and Ortlinda, who in turn follow Skadi's orders. They aid in manipulating the land's many giants, as well as serving as divine envoys between Skadi and the few human villages she can maintain. It is a sad cycle for the Lost Belt's humans. With a lack of food and resources, Skadi can only provide for a limited human population. She imposes strict rules to control this population, sending children to their deaths at the age of 15 or as late as 25 if they themselves bear offspring. On an annual day of sacrifice, the Valkyries descend upon the villages, opening the gates for the chosen to be crushed under the giants' feet. To offer these sacrifices a semblance of salvation, the Valkyries usher the dead to Valhalla, despite them not being brave warriors. In fact, this is their collective noble phantasm, Ragnarok Leavthrasir, Closure Illusion, Girl's Advent. Embodying their divine mission from Odin, the Valkyries unite as one, hurling their Gungnir lances in the radius of a bounded field. Those caught within are judged for the purity of their souls. If accepted, the souls are taken to Valhalla. If rejected, the enclosed targets fall victim to the Valkyries' might. This both saves humans and attacks threatening servants, familiars, and other phantasmal beings. In this sense, the Valkyries prove useful when the Lost Belt finds itself home to servants from proper human history, summoned by the counterforce to restore order. Such is the case for the Lancer servant of Brynhildr. As a heroic spirit, her loyalty is now to humanity, no longer exclusively serving Odin. Thus, she emerges in the Lost Belt to fight her own siblings from another history. While this does nothing for the mass-produced Valkyries, Brynhildr's presence provokes unwanted feelings within Thrud, Hildur, and Ortlinda. They do not wish to fight their beloved sister, and instead resort to sealing her like Odin did in ages past. At the summit of Mount Hinderfjall, the Valkyries enclose Brynhildr in a temple surrounded by flames of binding. She remains resting in this restraint for thousands of years as the Valkyries continue to oversee denizens of Skadi's domain. Tragically, for this Lost Belt to endure, the earth of proper human history is reduced to an empty whiteness. For the sake of their own world, the survivors of the Chaldea Security Organization venture to the Cryptor's Lost Belts to destroy them. Chaldea's arrival in this Norse Lost Belt marks the beginning of its end. Their master and servant, Ritska Fujimaru and Mashu Kyrielite, explore Skadi's frozen mountains and come upon a human village just before their day of sacrifice. Not fully understanding the circumstances, they halt the ritual by fighting against the mass-produced Valkyries overseeing it. While the Valkyries outmatch Mashu's servant output, they are forced to retreat when Napoleon Bonaparte arrives with his massive cannon. Matters are complicated when, rather than fighting Chaldea, Skadi chooses to love them like her own children. Because of this, the Valkyries are ordered to merely observe as Ritska gains a foothold in the Lost Belt. This leads Chaldea right to Skadi's doorstep. She decides to love them while keeping them close, ordering Thrud to capture the party and confine them to the castle dungeon. It is in this jail that Ritska learns of Brynhildr's imprisonment. They escape their prison and head to Mount Hinderfjall, hoping to recruit her. This effort succeeds, with Brynhildr joining Chaldea's ranks in the fight to dismantle the Lost Belt. Sadly, this means that the Valkyries must once again confront their sister on opposing sides. While the Valkyries strive to act in unison, forfeiting their individuality and personal emotions, they can't help but feel the tension of opposing their sister. They attempt to reason with Brynhildr, and while she is happy to speak to them, to reach an understanding, she declares that she will not falter. Even as it pains Brynhildr to slay her fellow Valkyrie, original or mass-produced, she has already accepted the task of protecting humanity. She will fight with the pride of a Valkyrie, which Thrud, Hildur, and Ortlinda have forgotten in a world deprived of heroes. She awakens the Valkyries' thirst for battle, provoking a fierce confrontation between the sisters. Brynhildr gains the upper hand, and yet Thrud and Hildur refuse to back down. The burning passion they denied themselves for thousands of years springs forth, compelling the two to charge their sister with no hope of victory. While irrational, the two wish to follow Brynhildr's example of following their hearts no matter the cost. Because of this, the two almost intentionally rush to their deaths, both pierced by a single strike from Brynhildr's lance. Ortlinda, the youngest of the sisters, watches in confusion, trying to comprehend what has transpired. While their hearts are not filled with romance as Brynhildr's love for Sigurd, they yearn to express their own emotion, envy. As Thrud and Hildur die, they ask Ortlinda to find and explore her own heart's desire. Traumatized by the ordeal, Ortlinda flees and avoids fighting until she can confide in her own feelings. She remains out of sight as the Lost Belt is dragged further to ruin, with Surtur awakening once more to envelop the world in fire. Staying out of the fight, Ortlinda only interferes to save Brynhilder's lover Sigurd with primordial runes. And yet, after Chaldea's party manages to slay the giant, Ortlinda emerges to defend the Tree of Emptiness, the Lost Belt's only remaining hope. Of her own free will, Ortlinda chooses to fight alongside Skadi. While valiant, her courage is met with defeat, as both the tree and the Lost Belt fall. While this marks the end for the Lost Belt's Valkyries, it is not the end of the Valkyries altogether. After all, such iconic and brilliant fighters are of course recorded into the Throne of Heroes. Just like Brynhildur, the Valkyries can transcend their task of escorting heroes to Valhalla in favor of protecting the human order. Even so, their circumstances are unique. The Valkyries, for their insistence on remaining united, are recorded under a single saint graph. While Thrud, Hildur, and Ortlinda are part of this saint graph, they ultimately share it by manifesting as a single servant representing all of the Valkyries. That said, they are not the same Valkyries present during the Lost Belt, but rather the Valkyries from proper human history. As such, while they are surprised to be summoned by a mere human, they still acknowledge Ritska as their master and vow to serve Chaldea in protecting humanity with the same dedication their Lost Belt siblings put into maintaining their broken Scandinavia. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this channel, help me beat the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing the video, subscribing to Otaku Daikun, and, most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all of my anime discussion, lore, or Let's Play content. If you want to support me directly, there are now 3 ways that all provide the same benefits. You can click Join here on YouTube, or join Patreon or Subscribestar for access to exclusive vids and early access. As always, celebrate your fandom.